So this is the third session in our Train Your Piano Brain series of tutorials. As you can see, today we're up really high, so we've got a great view of the piano, and that's because we're going to be jumping around and thinking about how we can improve the way that we build a mental map of the keyboard. Now that's a pretty important skill when you think about it, and it's not an easy one, because when you jump, for example, from one chord to another, you're basically asking your brain to put one or both hands in a different position in perhaps less than a second. Okay, if either of them are even kind of, a fraction of an inch out, okay, you risk hitting the wrong note or splashing, as we call it, when you hit the right note but you catch the one next to it too. Now, as with so many skills on the piano, precision on the keyboard, especially in jumps, is something that develops with time. Now, there are things that you can do though to speed up your development, and that's what we're going to look at today. As in the first two sessions, what I've got for you is a 5-level game that you can kind of play against yourself. This one is pretty good fun, and you can make quite a lot of noise doing it. Now, on the face of it, it's very simple, but you can actually make it really challenging as you get into the higher levels. In the previous sessions, I kind of said, as you know, make sure you've mastered each level before you move on to the next. Now, I'm not going to say that here because you can really vary the amount of challenge you face within each level here. This is also a great one for working into your everyday routine because you can do it, just for a few seconds at a time and have a quick blast every time you walk past the piano. Okay, let's go. Level 1 is simple. All you need to do is choose a single note, white or black. Let's go with G. All I want you to do is to play it up and down the keyboard in this rhythm, using your right hand. As you can hear, I'm also using just a little bit of sustain pedal there to stick the notes together. You don't have to do that. Okay. What I want you to do at first is just to focus on hitting that note, whichever one you've chosen, bang on every time. So if you have to go slowly at first, that's absolutely fine. At first, too, choose a single finger to play with, but as you get into the swing of things, begin to switch and vary your fingers, playing each instance of the note with a different finger, like this. Make sure you're not favouring your strong fingers, which are 1, 2 and 3 on your right hand, and ignoring your weaker ones, 4 and 5. Keep doing that until you're really comfy with it. Pick a different note each time, let's go for A flat this time. Okay, you'll probably find the black notes just slightly harder to hit safely. Level 2 is just the same as level 1, but now we're going to be playing 2 notes, one in each hand. Now there are various ways you can play this one, and the simplest way of doing it is to pick 2 notes that are exactly an octave apart, like this. Let's say we're playing B flat. Okay, but you can mix things up by, in various ways. You could try experimenting again with jumping between fingers, or you could pick 2 different notes like an E flat and a D, which are an interval of a major seventh of apart and slightly harder to hit reliably. Okay, again, keep mixing things up, challenge yourself, maybe try notes that are a wide interval apart like this G and that D. You won't be able to do too many, but you can do this. Okay, that's beginning to get quite difficult even for an experienced pianist like me, because you have to very carefully judge the distance that you're jumping. As you can see, the idea here is really simple, but you can make it quite challenging quite quickly. Even at this level, if you start to go quickly and if you're using big spacings or odd combinations, you should find perfection difficult to achieve. And if you can play it all these things perfectly and really fast, you're a better piano player than I am. Even top flight concert pianists sometimes splash a little when they're jumping. The aim is just to be as precise as you can be. Level 3 demands a bit more precision because we're going to be playing chords. This is where things can get pretty loud, so I've turned down the volume a little bit. What we're going to start by doing is playing two identical chords in the left and right hands. Again, any chord will do. If you're still kind of a bit unsure about your chords, do check out my chord video, my all piano chords in one epic video. I'll include a link in the description underneath this video. This is actually a pretty good chance to learn and memorize some of those chord patterns if you are a bit unsure. Now just start off with 3-note chords in each hand on white notes like C major or A minor. Okay, I got a little bit of splashing up there. It is quite hard to do it, the fast jumps with the block chords. You can begin to make things even more challenging for yourself by trying chords that have a black note in them, like D major. Yeah, and even 2 or 3 black notes, which is where it starts to get really tricky, chords like E flat major. Okay, the whole kind of point here is to keep pushing the envelope, keep yourself in a kind of zone where you can do it, but it's hard. It looks simple, but really it isn't. Level 4 is where we start to get seriously challenging because we're going to incorporate an element of improvisation into the exercise. What we're going to do is choose a chord, just like in level 3, but with each jump we're going to try playing it in a different voicing or inversion. In other words, if you're not yet familiar with the terminology I'm using there, we're going to play the notes of the chord in a different order each time. Okay? Ideally, with each single jump that we do. You can make this slightly easier for yourself, first of all, by playing it more slowly, or just by playing one note at a time in the left, okay, and building up to a full chord note. Let's let me take my life in my hands and have a go at this. See if you can spot whether I manage to play a different inversion every time. Okay, not bad. I'm going to try filling out the left a little bit this time. Okay, not bad. You see what I'm doing though? This one should really stretch you, but it's absolutely fantastic for your mental mapping and your chord knowledge. Expect to make a lot of mistakes, okay? Okay, level 5, maximum challenge time. At this level, you can play any of the patterns that we've used in the previous 4 levels, single notes, octaves, chords in different inversions, whatever, but you need to do it without looking at the keyboard. Now this is pretty hard, but having at least a reasonable mental map of the keyboard without being able to look at it is really useful because it means you can look at something else like sheet music or chords or a lyric pad or other people you're playing with in a band or whatever. It makes all these processes more efficient because if you can't play without looking at the keys, then you're constantly having to shift your gaze between the keyboard and whatever else you're looking at, and that's really kind of inefficient, and it makes, for example, reading sheet music harder because you can't keep your eyes focused on it all the time, but you have to keep leaving it and then coming back and refocusing. Right, I can't prove that I'm doing this, but I'm going to try playing C chords up and down the piano without looking at the keyboard. Here we go. Nearly. Yeah, not too bad. See if you can get to the point where you're playing, and this will be very difficult, the hardest version of level 4, changing chord inversions without looking at the keyboard, or if you have to, just taking the kind of briefest possible glances. What people tend to do when they're reading sheet music often is kind of cheat a little bit and be mainly focused on the sheet music that's in front of them, but you take these you learn to just drop your eyes down every now and then to make sure that your hands aren't kind of drifting out. Good luck. Okay, so there I go. Like I said, this is the kind of exercise you can make part of your daily routine. Every time you walk past the piano, sit down for 10 seconds and play one of the levels. When it comes to building a really accurate subconscious mental map of the piano keyboard, this exercise isn't all you need to do, clearly, yeah? But it's kind of a way of reinforcing the work that you'll do in your day-to-day practice. And it should help, especially if you're a relative beginner. I'll just repeat, if you find it difficult, if you're making a lot of mistakes, don't worry, it doesn't mean you're a bad piano player. It is really difficult, especially at the higher levels. But you will, even if you're playing those levels and you're making a lot of mistakes, it'll still really be helping. So push on through and aim to be as good as you can. Okay, as usual, I'll just give you a quick plug for my books. How to Really Play the Piano is the kind of flagship. If you want to know about chords and improvisation and stuff like that, everything you need is in there. And just a quick mention for my new one as well, 7 Studies in Pop Piano, quick collection of piano studies that I've written that come along with notes explaining how they work if you're interested in the kind of pop piano style. Also a quick mention for my Patreon crowdfunding campaign. If you can spare a couple of dollars or so per month to support what I'm doing here, do check that out please at patreon.com/Bill Hilton. Obviously we're in the run up to Christmas now, and I've got some pretty cool things planned for the next few weeks, including the next in my jazz piano tutorial series. We've got a new tutorial on pop piano based on one of the studies in here, and the first episodes in my brand new series of tutorials on the basics of piano and reading music for absolute beginners. If you want to catch all those, and the next Train Your Piano Brain will be after Christmas, okay? If you want to catch all those, do make sure that you're subscribed to my channel. Click the button in the bottom right hand corner, and don't forget to like and to share this video. I'll see you next time.